What's up, scholars? We are back. We are back. I'm going to bring the good doctor up. He's shielding himself.
She just tried to make me feel bad, y'all, right before
I
we
did
went live.
not. No,
Yes,
I did
she did.
not. I
Oh
did not.
I felt so horrible. I felt so horrible. But she
I
did. And
just
I'm
all
halfway
I
through
just
it.
said that
And
I
I'm
did. I
and I
just said
and when you said that, it reminded me I need to finish. But I did start it though. God, she
okay.
just made me feel so bad, y'all. And I'm the good one. I'm the one who does what I'm supposed to do. And here she go making me feel bad, like I'm the bad kid in class.
I didn't say. I didn't say nothing. I
I
didn't say
still love you.
nothing. Wait a minute. The other yesterday I was reading. Yesterday I was reading. I was reading. What the
Hey
hell?
everybody, as y'all come in.
Hey y'all coming in. I was reading the text messages between Krishan and Blueface, and I was talking about the grammar and stuff, and they were like they need to be in El Teddy's class. I said, y'all really think that that's a good idea? they were like they were like they need to go to El Teddy's
So
English
they need to
class.
go to my class. Hmm.
I said y'all really think that's a good idea?
Hmm. They absolutely listen. When they come in my good class and come up out of there, they'll be good to go. Good to go. Matter of fact, so funny. I had a student hit me up on Facebook, and they had like this Facebook post where it had all the grammatical errors. And so he tagged me. He said, Doug Lewis, man, man, I'm glad I took your class, boy. I know all these answers. I know everything on here. They ain't gonna get me on my grammar. You better have me come through that computer.
Yeah. But they were cracking me up. They because it was like two or three people in the chat were like, they need to go to they need to go to El Teddy's English class. I said, I don't think so. What's up, everybody? As you guys are coming in, hey, cool gamer. What's up, Tracy? Vovo. What's up, Sweet Pea? Hey, T Jones. Hey, everybody. And okay, we got the people rolling in. Do me a favor as y'all
Hey
come in.
everybody. Hey.
Yes, we got some 15 people already, and we ain't even started talking. Yes, to the 2023. Come on. Anyway, please hit that like button as you come in. Y'all know we
Share
trying to
the
grow this.
video.
Right, we're
Share the
trying to
video.
grow this channel over here. So, how has your week been? I know you. I know you were a little frustrated about something that happened today, but overall, how your week been going, sir? How's it going?
Kitty. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, not as well as I'd like it to go. And here I am just talking about
Cannot,
grammar, grammar and everything.
cannot,
Oh,
Lord, listen. Well, you're good.
God.
You're good. Your boys won this weekend.
We did. We did.
So, I
We
mean,
absolutely did. And my
listen,
Celtics are still on the roll. My Celtics are
there's
still doing the
something.
thing.
There's something.
So, yeah.
Not me staring at the thing waiting for it to say you live. I don't know why they said we was live, Abby, because we live, girl.
We live,
We
girl.
live,
We
girl.
live.
T Jones, yeah, we're going to talk about the 1619 project later on, but you're right. T Jones wants to remind everybody that the 1619 project premieres January the 26th, and we'll be talking a little bit about that. Well, you want to go ahead and talk about it now since you already put it in the chat, or
I
you
guess
want to
we
wait?
can. What I can say is I have between now and January 16th to find one of my friends that have a Hulu password and
You know
give it to
what?
them. You know what? Listen, all of me and my circle of friends, everybody have one, so nobody has to pay for all of them. I keep Netflix. I got a friend that does BT Plus. I also have Peacock, so I can give you Netflix and Peacock. My other friend has everybody has one. Let me put it to you like that. So we know how this goes.
Okay.
Don't judge me. You don't know my pain. You don't know what I've been through.
I'm not judging at all. I'm just saying you the reason why Netflix tripping. It's people like you. That's all I'm
Netflix,
gonna say. It's
Netflix
people like
is
you.
supposed to give us up to like four people. We pay for that.
Whatever. Moving on. So we're gonna go ahead and look at a little bit of the trailer. Y'all know how this is on YouTube. This is for fair use. We'll probably have to stop and start, pause, so that even though this channel isn't monetized yet, we don't want it to come back and bite us in the butt when we do get monetized. because that's gonna happen soon because I said so. So
Yes, monetization. Run me my
yes,
coin.
yes, it's gonna happen soon because I said so. I can't wait for you guys to talk about it. I'm discussing it with my grad students for Black History Month. Listen, T Jones, if you want to join the panel, please let me know. You don't have to show your face if you want to come up and be a part of the panel. Please let me know.
Mhm.
Also, T Jones, if you email me, I'm gonna forward you. There's a new documentary which I'm gonna talk about on my channel, called The Rebellious Rosa Parks. It's on Hulu as well, I believe. It's either Hulu
I'm
or
in I'm in the process. You know me, I like to do big stuff for Black History Month on my channel as well. So I'm in the process of putting together all of the things that I want to do for Black History Month. I'm
yeah.
kind of excited for Black
I
History
think
Month.
I honestly, I think it's either Peacock, Hulu, or Netflix, child. Because I've been on all three in the last couple of days, so I don't know which one. But we're gonna talk about it on my channel. But um, through the Zen project, I did a workshop with them, and so I'm on
Hmm.
their mailing list, and I'll send it to you too, El Teddy. It's like lesson plans and everything to go along with the documentary. So I'm let me know, T Jones, and any other educator that wants that, I will forward the email to you guys because there's a link on there where you can download the it's free resources to go along with the documentary. And the documentary is on, like I said, it's one of those streaming services. But I haven't watched it yet. But I've done research on Rosa Parks outside of the Montgomery bus boycott, and there's so much more to her life that people. I hope this documentary will bring that to light. I'll probably watch it sometime in the next week or two because we will discuss it on my channel. Anyway, okay. Thank you, T. Jones. And again, if you're interested or any other educators that want to be a part of it, the 1619 conversation, y'all just let us know. Um, you know. All right. So I do have the trailer. I'm gonna pull it up. Like I said, y'all know that we have to kind of stop and start, but we're gonna look at it. We're gonna look at it. Not I'm late, but I'll take my essay like a G. El Teddy, you really got the people shaking in their boots about
My
being late for
people
class.
already know when they roll up in my classroom late. This is how I run my class. They don't even ask no
You got the
questions.
people,
I
you
got
got
you.
the people
I'll be right
scared,
over here.
honey.
Listen, that's how we do it, baby. We don't play them games. Be like, you already know the deal. Don't play around. Go ahead and get started.
All right, so here it is right here, y'all. Here it is right here.
They say our people were born on the water, like nothing had existed before.
The New York Times published
The 1619 Project.
The legacy of slavery.
We were told by virtue of our bondage we could never be American. But it was by virtue of our bondage.
I'm liking this visual so far. What you thinking, El Teddy?
I expect nothing less because this is us, and we produce some of the greatest things that have ever, hit people's eyes. So I really, but I, to answer your question, I really do like it. Um, I expect nothing less. That I have high expectations, so maybe that's just me. Should I not? Like I really have high expectations, and I'm liking what I'm seeing so far.
You
So that
should have listen. I think we should have high expectations, and I don't think we're gonna be disappointed. But the visual, I'm just loving it. It's endearing me. I'm loving it. All right, let's see what else they talking
That
about.
we became the most American of all.
So it's gonna be 6 parts. So El Teddy, me and you gonna have to kind of schedule out when we're gonna do, so we'll know how to watch it and be ready to discuss it, and we can put the schedule out so people can, they want to join in and all that good stuff.
You
okay.
cannot tell the story of America without telling the story of Black America.
Yeah.
We are the story of America. 1619 Project.
All right, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I wonder if they're gonna play them,
Yeah.
if they're gonna post them all at one time, or if it's gonna be like a weekly thing. Like it'd be so much better if it was like once a week.
I I know, because if they put too much out and people binge it, and then it's a lot, and people want
Hmm.
to like,
Yeah.
because
Like, but if they do it
we talked
once a
about that
week,
before.
if they put it once a week, it would span through Black History Month, which I think would be really
Right.
good. But
I've watched other stuff on Hulu, and Hulu does stretch it out. They usually will drop like one or two in the beginning, and then they'll stretch out the rest. So I hope they do something like that, where maybe they give us episodes 1 and 2, and then stretch out the last four. So, but we are definitely going to be reviewing it here. And again, we will open up that panel, because I think this will be a great something great to have a panel discussion. So those reviews will probably be in the evening, you guys, where we have more time to just dedicate to that. But El Teddy and I will finalize the schedule sometime in the next week or so. We have to look at our calendars and figure it all out. But definitely excited. And I have not. I'm in full disclosure. I never finished the book. I was reading the book, but I ain't gonna sit here and tell y'all no lies. I ain't never finished it, and I ain't gonna say that I'm about to sit here and finish it the next week. But I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna start reading it again, and you know. But anyway, so that was that, you guys. So let's get into, unfortunately we got some, we'll get to that later, but we have some Black history stuff we need to talk about, and as it relates to El Teddy state. But let's get into this first of all. The first article that I think we will get into, you want to talk about the 6-year-old in Virginia?
yeah, let's knock him out.
All right, the 6-year-old in Virginia. Here it is, right here. Gary dropped the link in the chat. We're going to get into it. All right. So let's get into this. Where's the link? Oh, it is right here. Yeah, Newport News, down in that Newport News area, which is not, it's not in my backyard, but it's not that far. I mean, it's not that far for me to get to Newport News, Virginia, but it's not like down the street either. I think
Newport
maybe.
News is the ghetto.
Oh, LT.
That's what y'all say. Not me. I ain't never lived in Newport News,
I
but
didn't say that. When did I say that? Who said
everybody I
that?
know from Virginia tells me that Newport
Well,
News
I'm
is.
not from Virginia, so maybe that's why I didn't say it.
Isn't Abby from Newport News?
No, Ebby's from Virginia Beach, I think.
Oh, okay.
Abby,
Oh,
tell
I
us in the
think
chat.
Terrence. I
And
think
if she
Terrence is
is
from
from,
Newport News.
and if she is, you just offended her.
No, everybody I know that's from Newport News says, yeah, it's kind of
Bobo said he's from Newport News.
okay. Volvo is
So
the
maybe that was
ghetto.
Bobo that said that to you. Isn't there a Navy base around there in
I thought it was
Virginia Beach?
Norfolk.
Yeah, Norfolk. Yeah, which all of that is clustered. It's not that far. They're all right there together.
Okay.
Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Newport News. That's all, to my understanding. I know Norfolk and Virginia Beach is right there together, but Newport News, maybe my geography might be a little off. But Bobo, is it all right there together? All right. So this is coming from the Associated Press. This is dated today, January, whatever today's date is. Child, my brain is all
The
over the place.
19th.
The 19th. I'm gonna read you guys the article as we do over here. It's sort of a long one, so y'all know I will skip around. Newport News, Virginia, when a 6-year-old shot and wounded his first grade teacher in the shipbuilding city near Virginia's coast, the community reacted with collective shock. But the sentiment has percolated, okay, into into range from parents and particularly from teachers, with many lambasting school administrators Tuesday night for what they call a misguided emphasis on attendance and other education statistics over the safety of children and staff. The anger in Newport News is bubbling up during a decades long pendulum swing that's been moving. Oh, shoot. Sorry, an ad popped up. Close. No, I don't want that. Oh, God. Sorry, y'all. Y'all know these pop up ads. Okay. Um, Misguided. Oh, I read it. Okay. American schools away from suspension and expulsions. Ooh, don't even get me started on that. Experts say, but some school systems are still seeking a happy medium between strict discipline and a gentler approach. During a 3-hour school board meeting dedicated solely to public comment, Newport News teachers and parents said students who assaulted classmates and staff were routinely allowed to stay in the classroom with few consequences. They said the shooting of Abigail Zwerner could have been prevented if not for a toxic environment in which teachers' concerns are systematically ignored. Ooh, ooh, the spirit hit me on that one. Mm.
You okay? You need me to read the rest? Do you need me to read the
Ooh, the
rest?
spirit hit me on that one.
Yeah,
Woo! I'm
okay,
sorry.
cool. You about to go catch the Holy Ghost and start shouting around
Yes,
now.
because that one hit me. Woo! I was okay. I'm gonna read that one more time for the people in the back. Woo! Ooh, They said the shooting could have been prevented if not for a toxic environment in which teachers' concerns are systematically ignored. Ooh, can you put a
Technically.
put a one in the chat if you feel me on that one? Ooh, okay. Every day in every one of our schools, teachers, students, and other staff members are being hurt. High school librarian Nicole Cook told the board, every day they're hit. What? Every day. They're bitten. They're beaten. And they're allowed to stay so that our numbers look good. What?
Wait, let me read that. Let me read that for the people 'cause I don't think they heard you.
Wait a minute.
Quote, this is what the librarian said.
God.
Quote, every day they're hit, they're bitten, and they're beaten, and they're allowed to stay so our numbers look good.
I
Listen, the
can't even
very first time I'm hit, bit, or
I can't
beaten.
even wrap my brain around that one. Now
Mm-mm,
listen. Now
mm-mm,
now
mm-mm.
have we had situations, but every day is the wait a minute. Oh God. Okay. Addressing Superintendent George Parker Cook said, if Abigail had been respected, she wouldn't be in the hospital right now. Wait a
I told you Newport News is the ghetto.
So it's okay to just what? Zwerna was shot on January the 6th. She taught first grade in Rich Neck Elementary. Rich Neck, okay. There was no warning and no struggle. The 6-year-old pointed the gun at before the 6-year-old pointed the gun at his teacher and fired one round, police said. The bullet pierced her hand and struck her chest. The 25-year-old hustled her students out of the classroom before being rushed to the hospital. So that's what I need y'all to know. Even in the midst of all of that, she still protected her students.
Still
I need y'all
protect.
to
She done
understand.
got shot and is bleeding out.
And she is still worried about her students. So look,
Got
yeah.
shot in the chest.
Newport News said that the 6-year-old's mother legally purchased the gun, but that it was unclear how her son gained access to it. A Virginia law prohibits leaving a loaded gun where it is accessible to a child under 14, a misdemeanor crime punishable with a maximum 1-year prison sentence and a $2,500 fine. No charges have been brought against the mother so far. Excuse me? First of all, can we start with the fact that that's a misdemeanor? That you leave a loaded weapon out where a child can get it? That's number one. Number two, ain't nobody charged nobody yet. Ain't nobody charged nobody. Is the child still in the parents' custody? Did
And
Social
you got to
Services
finish
know it?
reading the article. Article.
I'm
Focus.
sorry. I'm
Focus.
sorry. You know what?
We got like
I'm sorry.
5 articles today, ma'am.
I'm gonna
5.
read it. You're right.
Focus.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. Community reaction shifted into anger late last week after the superintendent revealed that Rich Neck administrators had learned the child may have had a weapon before the shooting, but did not search to. Okay, I gotta keep reading. But did not search to find the 9mm handgun despite staff looking through his bag. Okay, well, they looked through his bag, so okay, they did look through his bag. Zwerner's shooting was completely preventable if the red flags had been taken seriously and proper procedures clearly communicated and followed. Amber Thomas, a former school psychologist in Newport News, told the board. Thomas left the school system last year after working there for a decade. In an interview with the Associated Press, she recalled a time when a teacher was assaulted by a student, and that student faced no disciplinary action at all. A school counselor and I were often called to intervene with explosive behaviors. And Thomas, who served 3 elementary schools at a time, although not Rich Neck, and the administrator would see what was going on and turn around and walk the other way. Cindy Connell, a middle school teacher who also addressed the board, told the AP that school system leaders fear angering parents and are too focused on limiting discipline such as suspensions. Now that's a valid point, and I just had that conversation earlier this week with my coworker. They're afraid, she said, that pulling kids out of the classroom will imperil a school's accreditation. Our administrators are under an intense pressure to make everything appear better than it is in reality. Okay. Um, I have teacher friends who have been hit by kindergartners, kicked by kindergartners, punched, stabbed with pencils by kindergartners. So the only difference is that this child had access to a weapon at home. So if you put those two things together, I'm not surprised. I'm gonna skip down a little bit, you guys, because the article goes on to talk more. We listened intently and we are reflecting on each person's comments. We know our community wants action and we are determined to follow up on the recommendations and concerns we heard, the board said in its statement. In the coming days, weeks, and months, the school board will take the necessary steps to restore public confidence in the Newport News public schools. Mm. Uh, William Kolsky, I put an extra L in there. William Kolsky, a Stanford law professor and director of the school's Youth and Education Law Project, said many schools in the U.S. had strict zero tolerance policies in the 1990s, but began to depart from that approach about a decade later as concerns grew that suspensions and expulsions were failing to help students while feeding the student to school to prison pipeline and disproportionately affecting Black children. Um, Newport News is a racially diverse city of about 185,000 people, about 45% white and 41% Black, that sits along the James River near the Chesapeake Bay. It's probably best known for its sprawling shipyard, which builds the nation's aircraft carriers and other U.S. Navy vessels. About 15% of the population lives in poverty. More than 400 of the nearly 1,000 incidents of violent crime in the city in 2022 involved a handgun or a firearm.
2021.
Oh, yeah, 2021, sorry. Gun violence has become a constant for our students, William Fickner, an eighth grade science teacher, told the board. It has been a salient issue in our community for some time now and has even made its way into our schools. Newport News schools have endured two other shootings in little over a year. 2 months after that shooting, an 18-year-old student fatally shot a 17-year-old in the parking lot of a different high school after a football game. Police say the teenagers exchanged gestures in the gym before the altercation broke out. So gang signs? I mean, okay. Our students do not wonder if there will be another school shooting, Faulkner told the board. They wonder when and where the next shooting will be. Last week, the board announced that 90 walk-through metal detectors will be placed in schools across Newport News, starting with the one where Zwolner was shot. But that failed to satisfy many parents on Tuesday night's board meeting. Doug Marmon, who has two children in school, called for the removal of the school system's executive leadership and for many more securing measures. He also wants the system to change how it addresses bad behavior. Students need to be held accountable for their actions regardless of age or circumstances, not transferred to another school or placed in a different classroom, he said. Another parent, David Wilson, said the problem starts at home, but he also questioned the impact of removing children from the classroom. We can do what everybody wants to do. We can start suspending more kids, sending them home, Wilson said. So you just prevented a school shooting, but you caused a 7-Eleven shooting, he said. You didn't solve the issue. You shifted the issue from one thing to another. All right. I'm sorry. I couldn't help myself, y'all. That one hit me. Go ahead, El Teddy. Yeah.
There, I don't want this to be one-sided because a couple things can be true at the same time. Certainly, we have the side where schools want to want to look great on paper when the reality of the situation is different. So they've started to remove progressive and corrective disciplinary action from school sites. However, that could also be coupled with the fact that there are still some teachers that have no clue of classroom management. None. That's exacerbated also by the fact that because of the large exodus from education by a lot of seasoned educators and so forth, we have an influx of people who don't have the instruction, training, pedagogy, and wherewithal to uh, know how to foster good classroom management. So you have these two perfect storms colliding at one time, and nobody's really looking at trying to mitigate both circumstances. They're only looking at it from a singular perspective, which is what do the parents want? What do the what do the parents want? What do the parents want? And that's a dangerous thing because the parents aren't there. They aren't in the classrooms. They aren't in the schools. They don't have the education or instruction to even know what's happening in the classroom or how to work around and deal with what's going on. And so it would be like asking me and really be, hey, we're building this skyscraper over here. And I know you all want to have an office in that skyscraper, and we're having a problem building it. Can you give us some help for, what we need to do in terms of structural engineering to get that done? And we'd be like, okay, well, I can tell you what I want. And people would look at it like we were crazy because we're not structural engineers. You know what I'm saying? We just want to
Mhm.
have a building. In the building that's coming, let's leave it to the people who know what they're doing to make sure that the problem gets fixed. And so often the educators, the instructors, the even administrators for that matter, are left out of the process of trying to figure this out. Um, One of the fast track ways I say, because first of all, what floors me is they're having all these problems with kindergartners. We're talking about kids 4 and 5 years old. Listen, baby, baby, baby shark, do. What do you think is going to happen 12, 13 years from now when that 4 or 5 year old is 16, 17, and 18-year old? They ain't little no more. And so I think where we can maybe have law enforcement, penal system, all of those things involved with that age, it's going to look crazy if we start arresting 6 year olds. That's going to be all over social media, and all of the same of you all who are in the chat saying, "Oh, they need to do something about this." Will have the same venom and vitriol if you started seeing law enforcement, doing something to 4 and 5 year olds. So what does that mean? We got to go to the parent. Hey, mom. Hey, you affected me at my. This is what I used to tell parents when they said, "Why are you calling me?" Because I'm at work and your child is stopping me from working. So let me stop you from working. And a 4 or 5 year old needs child care. So if that means that he needs to be out of school for the next 2 weeks and you need to do what you got to do, you're going to have to pay somebody, you're going to have to do something or take off work to get him some child care. Maybe that'll help you out. Maybe that'll make you say, let me make sure my child is doing the right thing. Let me get him some services and get him together because I can't keep taking off work or I can't keep paying for extra child care because he don't know how to act. But some kind of way, something has to be done, or we're going to continue to have situations like this. Because please be clear, they're not going to do anything about gun laws. If you're looking for any help from lawmakers or legislators in terms of gun control, none of that is ever going to happen. Not in our lifetime. So that's off the table. So now we have to look at other things, and really, but you spoke to the fact that they're not looking to suspend kids, so they don't want to send them home. So what's going to happen is we're looking at this problem, we're pulling our hairs out, but there's no resolve to this. There's nothing that's going to happen. It's just going to get progressively worse. So put on your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a bumpy ride from here on out.
And Vovo said the family also said that the boy suffers from an acute disability and was under a care plan at the school that included his mother or father attending school with him and going to class with him every day. So let me address that. Let me address that. First, then what that tells me is that that child was not in the right environment because that's not feasible. Whoever wrote that care plan,
Hmm.
that's not feasible. They set themselves up for failure because if the team, and I've been on the team that makes these decisions. If the team sat down and looked at data of a 6 year old and said that this 6 year old cannot behave himself well enough that he needs a parent to accompany him to school every day, then he was not in the right placement.
Right.
And the conversation should have been finding a proper school for him. He should never have been in a general
Yeah, because
education
this sounds like a
setting.
general ed class.
Right. He should never have been in a general ed setting. So if he was in a general ed setting, that's the problem, and that's on the school too. Because that should never have happened. If the data said, because first of all, the data that meaning they observed him, meaning he had a number of referrals and write-ups, that means that they sat down and they looked at the data and said, okay, he needs somebody with him every day, a parent with him. Then he was in the wrong placement to begin with. And again, that's still on the school. Zara says, what does it matter? What do the parents want when it's free education or childcare? Well, again, it goes back to what the article said, that a lot of these districts, school boards, and so forth are so afraid of the parents that they're kowtowing to them. I
Hmm.
mean, we saw it all through. Look at what we went through during the pandemic with parents protesting and, wanting schools, and they put a lot of pressure on a lot of governors to reopen schools before they really should have been reopened.
To make it just blunt, honest with you, if they're allowing parents, many of whom are uneducated, ill-informed, and have no idea of what instruction and pedagogy is, to dictate, have real dictates on what is taught and instructed in school, what do you think is going to happen with regard to discipline and instruction? Like, so we're down this rabbit hole. The Pandora's box has been opened, and there's no closing it. The toothpaste is out of the tube, and the parents are not going to relinquish any of their rights.
Yeah, because we gave it. I mean, when I say we, I mean I didn't, but as a whole, as a society, we gave them that power. All right, the next article we're going to transition to our next article. I'll put the link in the chat. Let me get ready to open it up to read it to everybody. All right, this is coming from the Columbus Dispatch. It is dated January the 17th. 8 Hillard school parents sued district over teachers' handling of LGBT plus issues. 8 parents of a Hillard school district are accusing the district in a federal lawsuit of allowing teachers to discuss sexual matters with students, including young children, while talking about LGBTQ plus issues. The parents in the lawsuit filed Monday want the U.S. District Court in Columbus to issue an order prohibiting such discussions and to prohibit Hillard teachers from wearing badges that show their support for LGBTQ plus students. Hillard attorney Joshua J. Brown filed the complaint Monday on behalf of the parents plaintiffs. The plaintiffs are, I'm not going to read their names. A spokesperson for the Hillard City Schools declined to comment Tuesday until the district has received and reviewed the lawsuit. The district has about 910 teachers and about 16,500 students, according to its website. The parents are asking the court for a declaratory judgment that would affirm their firmly established constitutional rights to direct the upbringing of their children, Brown said in a statement. Messages left with the Hillard Board of Education, Hillard Education Association, which represents Hillard school teachers, were not returned Tuesday for comment. According to the statement by the union in September, the I'm Here Safe Person, Safe Space badges that some Hillard educators opted to wear are visible symbols of their support of the students who may need it and serve as a critical lifeline for LGBTQ plus students who are in crisis or need a trusted adult to help. In its September statement, the Hillard Education Association said that LGBTQ plus students are often mistreated and stigmatized and desperately need support. Unfortunately, extremists working hard to amplify the playbooks of a national network of political radicals are once again trying to manufacture controversy and weaponize LGBTQ plus issues or distract Ohioans from the very real issues facing our schools. Some parents have raised concerns for months over the lawsuit says. Some parents have been asking the district for clarification on its policies around LGBTQ plus issues, including whether teachers can report a student identifying with a different gender or name to their parents since at least the summer. At least 30 parents have raised concerns at school board meetings and private meetings with the superintendent and through letters written by Attorney Brown to the district, according to court documents. The 8 parents involved in the complaint want school staff to notify parents when their child opts at a school for a different name or pronoun or has symptoms of gender dysmorphia. Child. In parentheses, the stress the person has. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. The complaint says confusion in schools across the country arose in June when the U.S. Department of Education proposed amending its Title IX regulations, including explicitly protecting against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. In a July meeting with several parents, according to the complaint, Hillard Superintendent David Stewart said the law is unclear, but teachers would be putting themselves at risk if they were to out a student to their parents without the child's permission. According to the complaint, the district told parents in September that by default it informs parents of matters like gender dysmorphia symptoms, but there may be exceptions for the child's health and safety. Um, the plaintiffs, the parents, well, the plaintiffs argue that the complaint, nothing in Title IX or any other law justifies a school district policy that withholds medical and mental health information about a child from his or her parents. The I'm Here badges worn by teachers include a QR code on the back that links to a lot of resources for teachers. The complaint alleges that some of those online resources are sexually explicit or inappropriate. According to the union statement from September, the resources are for educators, not students, to ensure trusted adults are equipped to support their students and provide assistance as needed. The complaint also alleges that Hillard teachers did not inform a family that their teenage child, who was assigned female at birth, was choosing to identify as a boy and go by a different name at school. The parents found out in October when they were called into the school because a friend reported their child discussed self-harm. Brown told the dispatch the parents involved in that incident are not plaintiffs in the complaint, but will likely get added to the complaint or sue the school separately. All right, go ahead.
Did we not call this? We said, I said, you said, we said, collectively, we all said on this platform, on my platform, that when this stuff started over in Texas, and this was about 2 years ago now, when this started, maybe more than 2 years ago now, in Texas, and I said, this is coming. That ship has sailed. The ball has started rolling. The snowball has started rolling down the hill, and this is going to start to spread widely. And this is what we're seeing, because the truth of the matter is, they are trying to eliminate the problem with the badges. Is they don't want anything that identifies a place where a student can feel safe, and that the moment where you don't want a to be able to have a student identify a place where they can feel safe, that is a problem. That is a real problem. They do not care about the safety of anybody that has any type of thinking counter to theirs. I'll give you another example where you would see a problem. Imagine if there was a button or an insignia or something that a teacher could wear that would let a Muslim or person that practices Islam know that that is a safe space. Don't you know that there will be hell and high water to pay? That would also be something that they would be suing about. Why? Because they don't. That doesn't go along with their own ideologies. The fact that they told you this QR code is for teachers only so that they could have resources to help a student, and you have a problem with saying that, oh, that's sexually explicit. Hey, it ain't even for the student, it's for the teachers so that they can have resources. And for them, sexually explicit simply means it's not like they're saying it's showing pictures of things. That's anything that says, oh, this child could be trans. At the moment that it says anything about trans, now that becomes too sexually explicit. At the moment that it says anything about a child being same gender loving, oh no, that's too sexually explicit. If it lists any portion of the rainbow coalition or the LGBT plus Q plus spectrum, then that deems it sexually explicit. Even if it's in a scientific way, trying to denotatively explain what these terms are, how to provide services for a child. You don't want any of that. You want no protection for any person that falls out of your comfortable little box: male, white, Christian, heterosexual. If you don't fit those four walls, you're out of their box of comfort. And what that means is they don't care about any protections for you. They don't want you protected. They will fight so you are not protected. That's what this is. You are literally having parents fight so that students are not protected. I want y'all to grapple and wrap your hands around it. Literally, we were just talking about parents getting all of the control, and this is what happens when you relinquish your power and give these people control. You have people that dictate to you that they don't want your child to have protection, security, and safety. And we're going to fight in the courtrooms and fight legally to forever relieve your child of having any protection at all. And that is a dangerous and scary thing, because what that means is it's going back to the days back when I was in elementary school. Now, I don't like to really be might read me down, but back in my day, back in the day when I was a little boy, there was no protection. Those were the days where children like myself or anybody else who was different had to be afraid, because you could have got drugged after school. You could have got followed after school and got drugged and bashed because you were different. Because there was no safe place. There was nobody who you could talk to and say, "Can you help me? I'm afraid. People are making me feel unsafe." And it may not even be a student who identifies as that one of those. It may just be, "Hey, I just need to know. I know you deal with this, and this is what they're accusing me of. Can, can I at least stay here so I can feel like this is a safe place for me to go?" That's the scary part. So, what do you as a parent do when your child comes home telling you, "Mom, Dad, I just got beat down, drug up and down the street, and there's nobody at school to protect me about it. They told me it's nothing they could do." Really be out.
So
We talked about this. We did.
yeah, we did. And so, Zara, I see your question in the chat, and she says, "Why would a student who, I want to read it. I don't want to misquote you. Why would the parents of a child wanting to be identified in school as anything different from the school slash medical records not be informed? Because that's not my place. I'm not outing anybody.
I'll give you a reason.
Wait a minute,
I,
hold
I,
on. Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm not outing anybody. So if we have situations where students know or are afraid to talk to their parents, and they will have that conversation when they are comfortable. We have students who know they will be put out of the house. They may be abused. You know, school. That's not my place to out a child to their parent. That's just not it. When I was an administrator, I dealt with a situation with a student who was devout, came from a devoutly Muslim home. She identified she was lesbian, and we knew it, and we knew how her family was. We knew how strict her family was. It wasn't our place, and unfortunately, it came down to a situation where we had to force her to talk to her family because her situation had spilled over into school issues, and there was a fight, and it was over a girl, and it became an issue. But that was something that we really struggled over as an administration, because we had to discipline her for what happened, but then we also had to tell her mother why she was being disciplined. You know what I mean? And so it was a lot. And so go ahead, Eltady. You can speak to that.
it becomes a safety to life issue. That I just plain and simple. For some students, there are some parents who will wholly harm that child. They will
Absolutely.
beat it out of them. They will literally beat it out of them. So they think. Or they'll tell their child, "Here's your stuff, find you somewhere to go."
Hmm.
And now you got a child that's living on the
Right.
street.
Now we're dealing with the homeless student.
So now you, by doing that, have caused that child to either be abused. We've had children that have died at the hands of this kind of stuff, We've had students that were abused so bad by their parents they committed suicide. We had children living in on underneath on the bench in the park, all types of horrible things. So when a child says, "Listen, I can't go home with this," they mean that in a lot of those cases. So that's a reason why they're saying, and I understand your question. Our parents should be informed. Yeah, that sounds real good. That's the black and white. But when we deal with real world situations, there are gray areas, a lot of gray. And in those situations, do you know? Because I've had that situation. I know really B has had it as well. Do you know how it makes us feel as educators when we are forced to do something like that, and then the story comes back to us of something horrific happening to that child, and you know you were directly responsible for that happening, and the awful emotions that go that we as educators have to factor in because of that. I mean, it's one of the worst things that you hear as educators. So this is that's one of the main reasons why.
Yeah. So, all right. Moving right along. You want to do the Harvard one, and then we'll get into DeSantis.
Sure.
I think that's what we have. Okay. So, let me drop the link so you guys can follow along. And if you're listening on the replay and you can't see the chat, or if you're listening to this on iTunes or something like that, the links to all the articles we use are in the description box. So if you're not live with us, you can still access the links to the articles. I just want to let you guys know that they are in the description box for this particular episode. So you guys can do that. All righty then. You see Tracy coming for you, El Teddy. I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna just let you know that Tracy coming for you. I'm just gonna let you know Tracy coming for you in the chat.
Tracy mad because in 1967 Karen was already 50 years old. She's still windmilling for Karen. That's fine.
All right, you guys. The downfall. Okay, this article is child. This is a dramatic, right? The downfall
Hmm.
of higher education. This is coming from Axios, January the 18th of
For higher
2020.
education rankings, we don't want to
I'm sorry.
misquote
I'm
you.
sorry. You're right. Higher education rankings. I'm sorry. I was trying to read. I was trying to go back up and read where it came from because I went out of order. My bad. My bad. Let me start from the beginning. This article is coming from Axios. It's dated January the 18th. And it is called "The Downfall of Higher Education Rankings." Thank you. Harvard Medical School this week joined the ranks of a number of other higher education institutions in boycotting the decades-old U.S. World News and World Report ranking list. Why it matters. Harvard provides the latest sign that the influence of the long-standing higher education rankings juggernaut is wavering. Driving the news, the dean of Harvard Medical School announced this week that the institution will no longer participate in the list, writing that the rankings could not meaningfully reflect the standards of the school. Ultimately, the suitability of any particular medical school for any given student is too complex, nuanced, and individualized to be served by a rigid ranked list, no matter the methodology, Dean George Daly wrote. The dean likely recognized that a boycott of the U.S. news can only work if it comes from the top, Colin Diver, former president of Reed College, which does not participate in the ranking, said. The ranking list came under fire last fall after revelations that Columbia University gave incorrect data for consideration to the list. That brought a lot more national attention to the weakness and flaws, the foibles in the ranking system. Diver, who also is the former dean of the University of Pennsylvania Law School, previously told Axios, "How he go from the law school to the medical school?" But okay, yep, go off. And maybe for the first time, a lot of people suddenly realize these rankings are just based on unaudited, unverified data that the schools themselves submit. Now that's interesting because I did not know that. A number of schools withdrew from the ranking system after Columbia's misstep, including Harvard Law and other top law schools. Daley lauded the dean of Harvard Law School to withdraw from the list, saying the courageous and bold moves by my respected colleagues. I'm sorry. The dangerous, the courageous and bold moves, really. By my respected colleague and those of peer law schools compelled me to act. U.S. News ranked colleges since 1983, defending the system as a necessary resource for parents and students, citing the cost of college. We know that comparing diverse academic institutions across a common data set is challenging, Eric Gertler, chief executive of U.S. News, said in a statement. That is why we have consistently stated that the ranking should be one component in a prospective student's decision making process, he said. There are always going to be rankings, but it remains to be seen if other lists and mechanisms to rank schools emerge, Diver said. I think if the general public, including of course, the potential applicants to these schools start to realize that the schools have all renounced the US news rankings, that'll help them to realize, yeah, it is garbage, or at least it's not dominant. It's not like the Bible. Whoever wrote this article was cracking me up. What I've always hoped for is that the U.S. news rankings would lose their hegemony, their monopoly power, he said. Did I say that right, El Teddy? Hegemony? You
I'm
know.
sorry, hegemony.
Hegemony. Okay, so I did say it right. Okay. It's a weird word. All right. So what you think? What you think? What you think?
Listen, when when you have schools like Columbia University cheating, it goes back to what I always say: if you ain't cheat, you ain't trying. Now, Columbia University is the Ivy League.
Right.
Columbia is as Ivy League as you get.
Yeah.
And Columbia University out here sending fraudulent, data, you know, beefing up scores and doing everything they can to get a leg up. And this is Columbia University. What do you think of smaller schools, schools that don't have that type of ranking? Dare I say HBCU schools? They don't have too much of a shot because one would think that Columbia University would start up in that upper 5 percentile, and they cheating. You know what I'm saying? So if they're cheating and they can get away with it, then this whole thing is the whole system is fraudulent and rigged, and yeah, we're not here for it. I don't blame them. Now, Harvard, even though you trying to come off all pious, self-righteous, and holier than thou, I'm pretty sure that they done sent in some, beefed up data as well. Y'all ain't get away unscathed. I would love to see what those rankings were last year and where Harvard fared last year. You know what I'm saying? Like, who did they fall behind someone and they thought that that wasn't fair, and now they feel like, oh, we shouldn't be that, and now they, grew a pair and said we don't want to be a part of this no more. Something doesn't pass the sniff test to me. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Something don't pass the sniff
Well, my
test.
thing is, first of all, I agree with you. Like, let's not, and that's why I was That's why I was laughing as I was reading the article, because the person who wrote this really made it seem like these people were doing something that was so great and so revered. Oh, the courageous decision. Listen, it is all self-serving. It's all self-serving. Um, like you said, they just got caught. Everybody is. If it was not, if listen, you would be a fool. You would be a fool if you knew that you could submit information that wasn't going to be vetted, that was going to not only be beneficial to your college, that would show, oh, we had all of these great students that came in and they did all these great things and they graduated with all these great GPAs and went to all these great, either postgraduate programs or great jobs. And no one's ever going to check and find out. Why wouldn't you? Because like you said, now what that does is it puts you exactly where these schools are, at a higher rank, where they have the better pick, quote unquote, pick of the litter of students, and charge more money for the privilege. So listen, I would be a fool to sit here and think that, oh, Columbia, you're so horrible. Listen, all of y'all were doing it. Columbia got
Hmm.
caught, and what happened was, this is my conspiracy theory. What happened was, a lot of them said, "Oh shoot, the jig is up. We need to jump ship because they get ready to start auditing all of us. So
Yep.
let's get off the ship
Either that or
before they
Columbia
start
said
auditing."
no. Either that or Columbia said, mm-mm, It ain't just me. It's also such and such. Because we got our dean of so and so who used to work at such and such last year or 2 years ago, and they know point blank that school was doing it too. They started snitching.
Exactly. So let me go back real quick because I wanna because Zara said sorry for the late response. But if a student is sharing or displaying any gender, sexuality, etc., is that outing? That is the very definition. So let me give you an example, Zara. As a teacher, let me give you an example. If as a teacher, I notice your daughter, every time I come out my classroom, I see your daughter talking to a different boy, right? In my mind, I might be thinking, she's a little fast. But I'm not picking up the phone and calling you to say, "Hey, I see your daughter. I see her talking to a different boy every day," because I don't know the whole situation. I don't know the full conversation. So I wouldn't do that if I saw your daughter talking to another
And
girl every day.
here's the other part. There is the accepted versus the unaccepted. Going back to even when our parents were kids, you always had the girls who were tomboys. Some of them may have grown up to become a lesbian. Some of them may have been very heterosexual. That was just might have been something that they were going through and that they were very tomboyish. Nobody was calling the parents and say, "Hey, you got a whole lesbian living in your household." But couple that with a young man who's a little too effeminate in their estimation. Now, even if he may not, that young man may not even be homosexual. He may not be gay or anything. He just may be more, in what society deems more feminine in society standards. And now you got people making whole phone calls telling the parent that your son, it looked like your son may be, homosexual, and now you done outed him, and he may not even be gay.
Right. He made, and that's what I'm saying. I use the example. Right. Right. And that's why I use the example of the student. Just
Hmm.
because I see a student talking to a boy every day doesn't mean that she's having sex. It doesn't mean that these are her boyfriends. So if I call your house and she's not supposed to be dating, but I call your house and say, "Hey, I see your daughter outside my classroom every day talking to a different boy." Who's to say what you do with that information? And it may not even be true. And vice versa. I wouldn't do that if I saw your daughter talking to a girl every day, because again, I can't make an assumption that there's anything going on with them.
And the other part about it is this: teenagers are certainly in middle school and even in high school and even college for that matter, are still in the uh, um, point of exploration with regard to who they are
That's
sexually.
true.
They're still trying to figure it out and find
That's
out
true.
who and what they are sexually. So they might, say, "Hey, let me experiment over here," because we're a lot more free and tolerant of the spectrum that is sex than we were years ago. So a child in 2023 may be willing to say, "Let me see if I do like boys if I'm a boy, or let me see if I do like girls if I'm a girl," than they may have been back in the 30, 40 years ago. That doesn't mean that because they tried it, that they're absolutely that thing and I need to go outing them. They're in the age of sexual exploration. They're just coming into their bodies sexually. They're trying to figure it out. So if you tell me, "Oh, I saw this little girl kissing a girl, she must be gay. Let me go call her parent and out her." I can't. You know what I'm saying? That may not be true, and now I don't put this child perhaps in a dangerous situation, all for something that may not have been what I thought it was.
Exactly. Facts. 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 All right. Y'all ready? El Teddy.
Mhm.
Look, look, look,
I
look,
hope you're
look,
ready.
look at him.
Mhm. Okay.
El Teddy, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, itty bitty. Thanks for coming over.
Hey,
Thanks for
itty
everybody.
bitty.
We got 40 people in the chat. Thank you all for being here.
Shout out to the 40 people.
I
Love y'all.
appreciate
Love
the
y'all.
shout out. That's some good numbers for us over here. Um, so let's get into this last topic. El Teddy state his favorite person in the world. I'm getting ready to put the link in the chat. I'm
Oh
sure
dear.
most of y'all
And
know
while
what we're.
she's doing that, can I say I had about 12, I told her to be, I had about 12 people yesterday that DM'd me this article because Y'all were like, yeah, this is something L Teddy wouldn't care about. And I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for sending this to me because y'all were like, L Teddy, even if you already know, you need to know.
All right. So of course, this has been reported widely, so you can probably find a variation of this article in multiple places. But I am reading from Rolling Stone magazine, which I don't know why Rolling Stone's talking about it, but okay. January the 18th of 2023. Florida says AP African American Studies program lacks educational value. Florida has blocked the College Board from testing a pilot advanced placement African American studies curriculum in the state under Governor Ron DeSantis' Stop Woke Act. According to a letter obtained by National Review, Florida's Department of Education Office of Articulation and Curriculum is inexplicably, contrary to Florida law and significantly lacks educational value. The pilot course, which has been tested at 60 schools across the United States, aims to expand the advanced coursework offered by the College Board into the study of the African diaspora in the U.S. The course has run afoul of DeSantis' widespread ban on teaching critical race theory in K through 12 classrooms. CRT is an analytical framework that seeks to dissect the manner in which racism has shaped American legal theory and institutions. The concept has been co opted, thank you, yes, it has, in recent years by right wing reactionaries to fearmonger about any and all discussions of race and discrimination. The Stop Woke Act, signed into law by DeSantis in 2022, essentially prohibits instruction on race relations or diversity that imply a person's status is either privileged or oppressed is necessarily determined by his or her race, color, national origin, or sex. The bill also bans both schools and workplaces from subjecting any student or employee to training or instruction that exposes, promotes, advances, inoculates, or compels such individuals to believe specified concepts constitutes discrimination based on race, color, sex, or national origin. That's a lot of words to just say they racist. Okay. In November, U.S. District Judge Mark E. Walker issued a temporary injunction on a portion of the law that attempted to place similar restrictions on higher education. Despite several challenges to the law on grounds of First Amendment rights, Florida has continued to lead the charge. So they just said, we don't care what you say. Okay. Lead the charge against comprehensive education on the racial history of the U.S. Several other states have passed similar legislation, including Texas, Idaho, Tennessee, South Carolina, and Oklahoma. All right, and then it just goes on to give you the history of Ron DeSantis' war on race. Yeah, I know you want to have a whole sugar spike
I'm not
moment.
going to have a whole sugar spike.
Okay.
I'm going to say that you do know, really be that Ron DeSantis is a former history teacher.
That's a scary thought.
That is so
That's a
scary.
scary thought.
So
That's a,
scary.
that's a scary thought.
It's so scary that this young man is a former social studies teacher. I'm not making this up. I am not, making this up. He is. Um, this goes back to something that I've been saying that we as black people need to realize. They are systemically, not systematically, but systemically first, and now systematically um doing to us what was done to indigenous people in this country. Native Americans and indigenous people in this country had all of their history either obviated from the American story or changed so that it favored white America. And if we haven't started to learn from our indigenous brothers and sisters, we will repeat that process. Because I'm telling you, that's what's happening. They are obviating our history or the true history of this country. Because I'm not going to even just say our history. They're obviating true American history and changing it so that it is so that it is favorable to the people descended from the Caucasus Mountains. This is happening whether or not we want it. This is why it is dangerous to put madmen in positions of power, because Ron DeSantis has full control of what happens in the Florida Department of Education, which means he can dictate and control what it is that your child learns. I'll give you another overreach because this specifically talked about the AP African American history, but let's go to a course like AP Lit. AP English Literature. And the AP English Literature has a long grocery list of books that they tell you your students need to read all of these books because these could be one of the books that we choose to use for our questions on the AP test. Many of those books are books that landed on CRT lists and stuff like that. So
Yep.
now what that
Well, look at what
means
happened here in
is,
Virginia with Beloved.
right, what
Yeah.
that means is your child, you're trying to get your child this college credit. You want them to pass the AP Lit test. Now they're at a disadvantage. They're ill informed. They are no longer prepared fully to take this course. They are limited in their education. How can you even tell a child to be ready to take an A push test, A push being AP US history, and now you have to remove whole chunks of American history from from your instruction? It doesn't make sense. It's not sound pedagogy. But what Ron DeSantis is going to do is this, and this is what he's doing. Oh, I know pedagogy. Oh, I know teaching. I know instruction. I'm a former social studies teacher. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, everything he's doing is rooted and grounded in racism, discrimination, and bigotry. And just because you were a teacher prior doesn't mean that you were doing it right. Hell, I'll
Oh,
give
say
you
it
a
again for
perfect
the people in the
example.
back.
I'll give you a
Just
perfect
because you were
example.
doing it doesn't mean you were doing
No,
it
no,
right.
I got an even further example. When I was a little boy, I
Long, long,
played
long, long,
I
long, long
played
time
Pee
ago.
Wee football, Pop Warner football. We call it Optimus football in Miami. I was this big, weighed like 35 pounds, soaking wet when I was like 11 years old. Was I playing? Sure. Was I doing it well? Hell no. And you don't want to talk to me about, now I can tell you some stats, I can tell you all about it. But you talk about me actually playing the game the right way. No, that hit my thing. You know what I'm saying? So just because you were doing that and you really don't want us to go back to your teaching career, governor death sentence, because we have real and actual stories of you being at parties with teenagers providing them with alcohol and other nefarious things underage allegedly. Don't go down. But that's what I have to say. This is dangerous. This is happening, and exactly what I said. They're removing us from history. They're changing everything, the narrative of everything, so that it looks advantageous to people descended from the Caucasus Mountains. We're going to end up being like our Native American brothers and sisters.
So, first of all, Tracy is just not letting you live today, just so you
I don't care
know.
about Tracy.
Second of all, second of all, T. Jones, that's a valid point as well. And we could actually have that conversation. And we talked about that a little bit because I teach IB. And we talked about that a little bit with the AP and IB not being as revered as it once was. And we can, again, that's one of those things I can put that on a list of topics where we can do a show
Hmm.
on and we can have a panel and discuss it, especially with people that are in higher ed that can give us that perspective as well. But this what I'm gonna say. It saddens me. It saddens me that anybody could say that a class, whether it's AP or not, or African American studies, lacks educational value. Like you can throw the AP part. I mean, the AP part is another conversation, but you can throw that out. Just listen to what he said. He said a class on African American studies lacks educational value. And like El Teddy said, if people don't pay attention to what is happening and starts, and this is why I always say to y'all, and I say this every time, and I'm gonna keep saying it until I'm tired of saying it, which I'm never gonna be tired of saying it. This is why we have to get involved at the grassroots level. Yes, I want you to vote for president. Yes, I want you to vote for your congressmen and your senators, but I also want you to go to those school board meetings. I also want you to go and vote for your local whoever. Like in DC, we have wards and we have city council. I need you to go and find out who these people are, find out what they stand for, find out what their beliefs are, and I need people to be making some informed voting decisions as it relates, because again, by the time it rises in the ranks and it gets to a Ron DeSantis, it's too late from the point of view of, like El Teddy just said, he controls the school boards. So we have to stop electing the DeSantises of the world. But in states like Florida, okay, I'm not gonna say we can't win, but that's a heavy road to pull. But we can be in those school board meetings and we can affect on a local level. And I'm just gonna keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. I need people to get it. I need people to understand why that's important. I just do. But that's all I have.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot that I can add to, or we both can add to how horrible this young man has been. The scary notion is he is as radical and in some cases more radical than your former president. However, knows how to work the legislative system.
And don't
And
forget, he's running for
but
president.
that's where I was going. The fact that
Oh, I'm
he's
sorry.
probably the front runner for 2024. And at the rate that your current president is going, if they were pit against each other, there's a very real possibility he could win. Because your current president is not looking too good.
Well, it ain't looking good. Um, and I mean exactly, Yana. The fact that there are people walking around with whole PhDs. I'm sorry, that was China White. Whole PhDs in in African American studies. I mean, you just said that basically their whole educational careers means nothing. Like the
Right.
hell. Okay. Um, First of all, I want to give a shout out. We had like 50 people in the room, and y'all know, for those who've been rocking with us for a while, y'all know that we don't usually get big crowds over here. One of the things that we wanted to focus on this year is definitely getting this channel where we want it to be, because we just feel like, not to sound conceited, but I just feel like we give some great information over here. We're going to expand that, like with us doing the 1619 project and doing some panels and stuff this year. And so I'm excited that we had such a large group in the room today. I'm encouraged by that. I hope everybody hit the like button and is subscribed. But I'm
And
definitely
shared it
encouraged.
out.
Right. Yeah, and shared it out. And shared it out. I'm just excited to see all you guys here. I'm gonna shut up and let the doctor have last words. Y'all see, we gave y'all an extra 15 minutes today. Y'all got an extra 15 minutes out of us today.
Extra.
Go ahead.
Um, listen, we definitely want to always be at the forefront of things as they come to light and so forth. And sometimes not even as they come to light, but shed light on things before they come to light so that you can, know what's coming down the pipeline. A lot of these stories that you're hearing may not be happening in your area yet, but please believe this stuff is not happening in a vacuum. And so we definitely want you all to be informed, be aware. So because like they say, it's like the old adage goes, if you see one roach in your house, you have millions.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the truth. And so if you see one bad apple or one law that gets passed in a state that subverts or takes rights away from people, or is subversive to the educational process, then that means that it's likely that it's going to spread, and your area could be affected. And this is for the bluest of blue states or the reddest of red states and everything in between. So let's just be informed, be aware, and also don't neglect, if to inform us of things. If you see something in your area that we may not have spoken of, or you see things involving education that you want us to speak on or do more research on, please let us know, and we absolutely will do that. That's all I have.
Yep. And we're out. Thank you.